Have you ever noticed that the biggest obstacle in your life isn't your boss, your bank account, or your bad luck? The biggest obstacle is actually you. Maybe you wanted to improve your health, but kept returning to habits that made you feel worse. Maybe you wanted a healthy relationship, but repeatedly chose people who were unavailable. Or perhaps you had an important goal, yet procrastinated until the opportunity passed. It can feel as though something inside you is working against you. In The Mountain Is You, Brianna Wiest explains that this pattern is called self-sabotage. But self-sabotage is not proof that you are lazy, weak, or incapable. It is often a protective response created by unresolved emotions, conflicting needs, and deeply rooted beliefs. The mountain standing between you and the life you want is not always the outside world. Often, the mountain is you. In this summary, we will explore why people sabotage themselves, how emotions reveal what needs to be healed, and how self-awareness can be transformed into self-mastery. A mountain appears to be an obstacle. It blocks the path, demands effort, and forces you to confront your limitations. But mountains also serve a purpose. They challenge you to become stronger, more focused, and more capable. In the same way, the obstacles in your life can reveal the areas within you that need attention. According to Wiest, the problems you repeatedly experience are often not random. They may be expressions of deeper emotional patterns. For example, procrastination may not simply be poor time management. It could be a fear of failure, a fear of judgment, or even a fear of success. Remaining in an unhealthy relationship may not mean you enjoy being mistreated. It may mean that emotional unpredictability feels familiar, and familiarity can be mistaken for safety. Constantly seeking approval may not mean you are naturally insecure. It could mean you learned to believe that love must be earned through achievement, obedience, or perfection. The external problem is often only the surface. The real work begins when you ask, what is this pattern trying to protect me from? Self-sabotage occurs when two parts of you want different things. One part wants growth. It wants a better career, stronger relationships, financial stability, confidence, or peace. Another part wants safety. It wants to avoid uncertainty, rejection, discomfort, and change. When these needs conflict, the desire for immediate emotional safety often wins. This is why people can genuinely want to change while repeatedly returning to old behaviors. Imagine that you want to apply for a new job. Logically, you know it could improve your life. But applying also creates the possibility of rejection. If rejection is emotionally painful for you, procrastination becomes a form of protection. By delaying the application, you avoid the immediate risk of failure. However, you also prevent yourself from succeeding. Self-sabotage provides short-term relief at the cost of long-term fulfillment. This is an important distinction. Your destructive behaviors are not necessarily designed to ruin your life. They may be outdated attempts to keep you emotionally safe. Understanding this allows you to replace shame with curiosity. Instead of asking, "What is wrong with me?" you begin asking, "What need am I trying to meet through this behavior?" That question can change everything. Human beings are naturally drawn to what feels familiar. Unfortunately, familiar does not always mean healthy. If chaos, criticism, emotional distance, or instability were common in your past, peace may initially feel uncomfortable. A stable relationship may seem boring. A calm period of life may make you anxious. Success may create the fear that everything could suddenly disappear. Your nervous system often prefers predictability over happiness. This is why people sometimes recreate painful situations they claim to want to escape. They are not consciously choosing suffering. They are returning to emotional environments they understand. Growth requires developing the ability to tolerate unfamiliar experiences. You must learn that calm is not a warning sign. Consistency is not boredom. Love does not have to be earned through suffering. And uncertainty does not automatically mean danger. A healthier life may feel strange before it feels safe. The goal is not to wait until change becomes comfortable. The goal is to move forward while teaching yourself that discomfort can be survived. One of the book's central ideas is that emotional triggers reveal unresolved areas within you. A trigger is not merely something that makes you angry or upset. It is an experience that activates a deeper wound, fear, or insecurity. Suppose someone receives an opportunity you wanted and you feel intense jealousy. The easiest response is to judge yourself for being jealous, but jealousy may contain useful information. It may reveal a desire you have refused to acknowledge. Perhaps you also want recognition, freedom, creativity, or success. Instead of treating jealousy as proof that you are a bad person, you can use it as a guide. Anger may reveal that a boundary has been crossed. Resentment may reveal that you have repeatedly agreed to things you did not truly want. Anxiety may reveal that you are trying to control an outcome that cannot be controlled. Sadness may indicate that something important needs to be grieved rather than avoided. Your emotions are not always literal instructions. Feeling afraid does not necessarily mean you should stop. Feeling angry does not always mean someone else is wrong. However, emotions are valuable signals. They show you where attention is needed. The goal is not to obey every emotion or suppress it. The goal is to understand it. Emotions are real experiences, but they are not always accurate descriptions of reality. You can feel rejected without actually being rejected. You can feel unsafe in a situation that is objectively safe. You can feel incapable before attempting something you are fully able to do. A feeling tells you what is happening within your emotional system. It does not always tell you what is happening in the outside world. This distinction is essential for self-mastery. When people treat every feeling as a fact, they become controlled by temporary emotional states. If they feel unmotivated, they assume they cannot act. If they feel anxious, they assume they are making the wrong decision. If they feel insecure, they assume they are not good enough. But personal growth requires acting according to values and long-term goals, not only according to present emotions. You do not need to feel confident before taking action. Confidence is often created through action. You do not need to feel ready before beginning. Readiness is often developed through experience. Your feelings deserve compassion, but they do not always deserve control. People often remain trapped because they are emotionally attached to an outdated version of themselves. You may carry an identity built around being the responsible one, the victim, the perfectionist, the outsider, the person who always struggles, or the person who never needs help. These identities may have helped you survive earlier stages of life, but they can become limiting when you continue using them long after the situation has changed. For example, someone who learned to be hyper-independent may struggle to trust others, even in safe relationships. Someone who received love only through achievement may feel worthless when resting. Someone who was repeatedly disappointed may expect every positive experience to end badly. Healing requires more than changing your behavior. It requires changing the story you tell about who you are. You must be willing to stop proving that the old story is true. This can be difficult because identity creates consistency. Even a painful identity can feel secure when it is familiar. Letting go of an old self may feel like losing part of your personality, but you are not losing yourself. You are releasing the survival strategies you no longer need. Self-mastery depends on emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize what you feel, understand why you feel it, and choose how you respond. Without this skill, emotions become reactions. Fear becomes avoidance. Anger becomes aggression. Sadness becomes withdrawal. Insecurity becomes control. With emotional intelligence, emotions become information. A useful practice is to pause before reacting. When a strong feeling appears, ask yourself, what happened? What am I feeling? What story am I telling myself about what happened? What does this situation remind me of? What response would serve my long-term well-being? This pause creates space between emotion and action. That space is where change becomes possible. You cannot always control what you feel, but you can develop greater control over what you do next. Many people believe they need confidence before they can change. Wiest suggests that what they often need is self-trust. Self-trust is built by consistently showing yourself that you will act in your own best interest. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen that trust. Every time you set a boundary and maintain it, you strengthen that trust. Every time you make a difficult decision because it supports your future, you strengthen that trust. Self-trust is not built through positive thinking alone. It is built through evidence. You cannot repeatedly ignore your needs, abandon your goals, tolerate disrespect, and then expect to feel secure within yourself. Your mind watches your behavior. When your actions communicate that you can rely on yourself, confidence begins to grow naturally. Start with small promises. Wake up when you said you would. Complete one task before distracting yourself. Speak honestly when something matters. Leave situations that repeatedly violate your values. Small acts of integrity create a stable internal foundation. Transformation is often imagined as a dramatic moment. You suddenly understand your purpose. You lose your fear. You wake up motivated, disciplined, and completely healed. But real change is usually less dramatic. It happens through small decisions repeated over time. You become healthier by choosing the supportive habit again and again. You become emotionally stable by practicing regulation when life is difficult. You become confident by taking action despite uncertainty. You become disciplined by doing what matters, especially when you do not feel inspired. The life you want is built through ordinary moments. This can be disappointing because the mind prefers dramatic solutions. A major breakthrough feels more exciting than slow repetition. But small actions are powerful because they reshape your identity. Each choice becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. You do not overcome the mountain in one leap. You climb it one step at a time. Control is often an attempt to manage fear. You may try to predict every outcome, understand every person, eliminate every risk, and prepare for every possible problem. But complete control is impossible. The more you demand certainty, the more anxious you become. Peace does not come from knowing exactly what will happen. It comes from trusting that you can respond to whatever happens. This is another form of self-trust. You cannot guarantee that a relationship will last, but you can trust yourself to recognize mistreatment and leave when necessary. You cannot guarantee that a project will succeed, but you can trust yourself to learn from failure. You cannot guarantee that life will remain stable, but you can trust yourself to adapt. The goal is not to create a life without uncertainty. The goal is to become someone who can move through uncertainty without abandoning themselves. Growth includes loss. To become a new version of yourself, you may have to release old relationships, expectations, coping mechanisms, and dreams. You may need to grieve the childhood you did not have, the apology you may never receive, the person you hoped someone would become, or the timeline you believed your life should follow. Grief is not a sign that you made the wrong decision. You can miss something and still know it was unhealthy. You can love someone and still recognize that the relationship cannot continue. You can feel sad about closing a chapter while knowing that it is time to move forward. Healing does not require pretending that the past did not matter. It requires allowing the past to matter without allowing it to control your future. It is difficult to release old patterns when you have no clear alternative. You need a vision of the person you are becoming. This vision should not be based only on appearance, status, or achievement. It should include how you want to think, behave, communicate, and respond. Ask yourself, how does the healthiest version of me handle conflict? What habits support that person? What boundaries do they maintain? What do they no longer tolerate? How do they speak to themselves after making a mistake? What choices do they make when nobody is watching? Then begin practicing those choices now. Do not wait to become that person before acting like them. You become that person through repeated action. The central message of The Mountain Is You is not that every problem is your fault. Many circumstances are outside your control. People may hurt you. Opportunities may disappear. Life may change without permission. But your power lies in how you respond. Self-sabotage begins to lose its power when you understand what it is protecting, what need it is trying to meet, and what belief keeps it alive. You overcome the mountain by becoming aware of your patterns, processing the emotions beneath them, and making choices that support your future rather than repeating your past. The mountain is not there to punish you. It is there to show you what you are capable of becoming. Your fear can teach you courage. Your triggers can teach you awareness. Your failures can teach you resilience. Your pain can teach you what must change. And your repeated choices can transform you into someone you trust. You do not need to destroy every difficult part of yourself. You need to understand those parts, guide them, and give them healthier ways to meet their needs. The greatest act of transformation is not becoming someone completely different. It is becoming the most honest, disciplined, emotionally aware, and self-respecting version of who you already are. The mountain is you, but so is the strength required to climb it. If you enjoyed this biography, please leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe for more epic stories. Thank you for listening.